What's going on, guys? Today we're looking at a new flashlight from Wowtac. This one is their A4, and I've been playing around with this lately. This is essentially just a budget thrower. This one has an incredibly tight beam. It is supposed to throw out to 820 yards. I wasn't able to test that specifically, but I can tell you it lights all the way down my street. So, I mean, I did a lot of outside, usage on this just around the yard. I actually had some things to do around the house, so it's coming in handy. I can also tell you real quick that when I first got this, I had this on my desk and Christina grabbed it to look for something in the closet. She was looking for a cable for a projector. She couldn't find the power cable for it. So she's looking, in all the drawers and the closet and all that kind of stuff. And she had this just on high, not even the turbo. And indoors, it was too bright. Like, I was trying to help her look for the cable and I told her to turn it down because the light was reflecting back. So close quarters, there is such a thing as too many lumens. It's kind of like with knives. You can get a blade too sharp, where it's not actually performing very well for what you need it to do. I know it sounds crazy. How can it be too sharp? And how can a flashlight be too bright? Well, different situations call for a different amount of light, or in the case of knives, a different type of sharpness. So, just a word of warning. I mean, usually people, when they're buying flashlights, you want the brightest possible, but having different functions is also very important for just such an occasion. Although this is much better suited for an outdoor light, this is not going to be something that you're going to automatically grab to look in a closet, but it happened to be convenient, so that's what she grabbed. And it's just good that it had other modes, because sometimes you do not need that much light. It's actually, it's the opposite of what you're trying to do. It's not helpful at all. So anyway, this light is about I think it's $40 on Amazon, $50 if you buy it direct from them. And it's pumping out 2,000 lumens on turbo. So a $40 flashlight, 2,000 lumens, tons of throw. So again, if you look down in the head there, you can see there's a super smooth reflector. The LED in this one is a Cree XHP35HI, in case you, like the tech specs on flashlights. But yeah, a super smooth reflector concentrates all that light to the center beam. That's what allows the light to throw out further. When you have a flashlight lens that is heavily stippled, all different kinds of bumps, I guess, if you don't know what stippled is, what that's doing is that's bouncing the light in all different directions. So what that's giving you is a wall of light as opposed to a concentrated beam. All right, so smooth means far, and bumpy or stippled just means it's not going to throw as far, but it's going to throw the light in all directions. All right, so just a quick little tidbit if you're kind of new to flashlights. To keep the price down on this one, they do not have any way to charge this. So when you get this, you get the flashlight with the two batteries. And I'll show you the battery source real quick. There's two 18650s in here, but there is no way to charge them. All right, these come with the 2600 milliamp hour through night batteries. If you don't know, Wowtac is a through night brand. But you can see these are the older style. They do not have the charging port on there, and there's no cable or anything. All right, so just a word of warning, if this is your only flashlight or first flashlight or something, you're going to need a way to charge these batteries. So this would be better suited for someone who maybe already has a couple different flashlights, a charger or some way to charge these batteries. All right, I mentioned that. It's very important because someone might buy this and then they use it and it dies and they go, wait a minute, how do I charge these batteries? And you don't want to just have to buy new ones. Obviously, you want to charge up the old ones. All right, so if you do get this, consider getting a charger if you don't already have one. As far as, the UI or user interface, it's just like a lot of different through nights. The one cool feature with this one, like a lot of the newer ones, is that it does have a battery indicator light right into the button. All right, so blue means it's fine. If it's red, obviously you're losing power. The batteries are gonna die soon. But in the off position, you hold it down, and you get that kind of moonlight mode. I'm not sure if they still call it moonlight for Wowtac as opposed to through night. And by the way, you can see there's kind of like a donut shaped beam. That's only because it's super close. Even from here, 2 feet away, you can see that it disappears, and it's very concentrated light. And obviously, if I turn this up to, like, let's say, well, turbo, you're not really gonna be able to tell. It's super concentrated on my hands, and I'm holding it away probably 3 feet or so. But when you have this on outside, that center beam, I would say at like 50 feet or so, that's concentrated all the way down to maybe like a foot or two, all right? It's not a super wide center beam. It's very concentrated, so again, it can shoot out as far as possible. But anyway, once it's on, there I believe are 3 modes. You have low, you just hold the button down, medium, and high. All right, the high is 950 lumens. And of course, at any point in time, you can double tap, and that gives you the turbo mode, which again is 2000 lumens. The runtime is supposed to be over 2 hours. And then once you're in turbo, if you double tap again, it goes to the strobe, okay? And as I said before, with ThruNights, it's the same UI in that the strobe is a constant pattern. Sometimes strobes, they'll go from like super fast to a little bit slower, a little bit faster, a little bit slower, it changes up. This one does not, it's just one constant pattern. No SOS mode in this, but I don't think most people care. And in fact, I want you guys to write down in the comment section if you've ever really used SOS mode other than just playing with the mode. Have you ever been in a situation where you're like, man, I'm glad my flashlight had an SOS mode? Because I personally have not. I mean, I do keep a flashlight in my vehicle that specifically has SOS for a specific type of situation. I've never needed to use it, but you know, I do plan for that. But it's just something I find a lot of people like, you know, it's a waste of mode. I mean, in certain situations you may want it, but for the most part, I don't think you're gonna need something like that. But yeah, here is the specs and runtimes, the breakdown. So I did save the paperwork here. So there's the English section, you can see all that. Again, for the people who care, some people who are really into flashlights, I mean, that stuff does matter. That all really does matter when you're comparing, you know, one light to another light and so forth. But generally speaking, there's not much going on here. It's very straightforward. It's super bright, but it has a very concentrated beam, so it would be poor to use indoors, although you can, again, in the lower mode, you can certainly use this indoors. It's just not going to be the best option for that. One thing that stood out to this particular, specific model that I liked is the knurling it's straight knurling all the way down. You can see the tail cap here has its own separate knurling on there, but there's no like different patterns in here, which I like. It just feels good. It's just all knurling, you know? It's not super aggressive or super grippy, but it's grippy enough. And another note that I'll make real quick is that for a while there, I was kind of preferring, you know, the more powerful flashlights. I kind of liked the, I don't know any way to describe it other than maybe chode-like, where you had like 4 cells that were, you know, next to each other. So it's basically short and fat. I guess you can call them like soda can flashlights. That's the best way to describe it. Chode is a little bit maybe PG-13. Yeah, there were soda can like flashlights where it was just short and fat, right? But I have to say, these longer, skinnier ones where the cells are stacked on top of each other, I'm kind of going back to liking those more. It's just a little bit more comfortable. When you have more weight, obviously with more cells there's going to be more weight, but the shorter, fatter ones, they just tend to be like a hunk of metal that's kind of awkward to hold. At least these, when you're holding it in reverse grip, I mean, you have the option of reverse grip, it's easy, all right, as opposed to holding it like this underneath. Obviously the disadvantage to reverse grip is you have to use your other hand to change the mode, but once it's on and you're using it, it shouldn't be a big deal. Flat bottom, so it does tail stand if you needed it to. I've talked about that before. It's good to have in emergencies, a super bright light. You can have it indoors on a table and it illuminates, you know, through the ceiling and bounces around, so you have kind of mood lighting throughout the house in case there's a power outage or something like that. But yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward. 40 bucks for 2000 lumens and all throw. That's what you're getting here. I do like the change in design with the knurling, although this head is extremely identical to one other ThruNight model, which is escaping me at the moment, but it looks pretty much the same. It's just, you know, body change here and possibly an LED change. But yeah, I mean, for $40, it's very hard to beat. Again, I would think that this would probably be most for someone who has a little bit of a flashlight collection going, but they don't really have that powerhouse. They don't have one that just really reaches out. This is, again, supposed to go to 820 yards. I wasn't able to test that. I just, you know, shined it down my road. I would say my road is probably a quarter mile maybe, and it shined all the way to the end, to the trees, further than my eyes can focus on. I'll say that. So if you wanted to really see how far this is going or what it's lighting up, you'd probably need a pair of binoculars to actually see any kind of detail. But yeah, it's a thrower, and it's only 40 bucks. So that's its advantage over some other flashlights in the market right now. But again, big disadvantage, if you do not have any kind of way to charge 18650s, you will have to add that when getting this light. So there's one more shot at the business end. You can see the LED in there. I recently had a conversation with someone. They were asking what an LED is. And they said bulb, like what's an LED bulb? And I was just letting them know that there is no bulb part of it. It's very, very commonly said. It's kind of like If you're talking about a gun magazine and people say clip, it's just the wrong terminology, but we know what you're saying. But yeah, there is actually no bulb there. LED stands for light emitting diode. That's what it is. And the reason that they're so heavily used in flashlights these days is because they're extremely durable. Unlike having an actual bulb and a filament that could break, it's very fragile, as we know. The LEDs pretty much reign supreme, you know. In some cases, LEDs can't be as bright as certain types of bulbs, HIDs and so forth, but you know, technology's changing, and I mean, for all I know, there may already be an LED that's brighter than like the brightest HID. I don't really know, but technology is constantly advancing. But just a quick little random note there in case you're new to flashlights. So that is all. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. Take care.